Every family dispute has a price, but in the Harris household's case, it wasn't cash. It was a case of emotional desertion. The story that was presented to millions of viewers upon Mendeecees Harris's release from federal prison was one of harmony, atonement, and a happily blended family. However, a much more harmful dynamic was taking on behind closed doors. Reality TV contracts and financial inheritance are not the main points of contention within the Harris family. It is extreme emotional detachment and institutionalized partiality. Growing up, Mendeecees' elder biological children witnessed the children born to Yandy Smith enjoy unwavering father care, direct mentorship, and access to chances that may change their lives while they were marginalized. Lil Mendeecees Jr. is now making direct claims have exposed the structural weaknesses in this family. This goes beyond jealousy from childhood. It is a result of years of multi-household conflict that existed before the celebrity, stemming from Mendeecees' previous relationships and intensified by Yandy's calculated placement in the family hierarchy. According to the claims, access to a parent was heavily guarded, constrained, and leveraged. The harm is irreversible when a parent's presence is viewed as a finite resource. Today, we dissect the recorded chronology, the internal family history, and the precise mechanisms of this household's division. You must take away the glamour of television and look at the family's basic structure in order to see how the Harris household came to this boiling point. The fracture line didn't start when the cameras started filming, nor did it appear overnight. Long before Yandy Smith became a permanent role in Mendeecees Harris's life, it was ingrained in the basic framework of his early adulthood. Before his marriage to Yandy was formalized, Mendeecees had children with other women. Maintaining homeostasis in any multi-household family necessitates complete objectivity, constant presence, and vigorous defense of each child's mental health. However, that balance was disrupted early on in the Harris dynamic. Awesome, born to Erica DeShazo, and Lil Mendeecees Jr., born to Samantha Wallace, were raised in a world where their father's life was continuously shifting between homes, court cases, and personal transformations. The mechanics of co-parenting were rife with animosity from the start. The dynamic swiftly deteriorated into a struggle for influence and access rather than creating a cohesive front where all the kids felt equally important. The biological moms were embroiled in continuous arguments about basic support, visiting schedules, and custody agreements. However, when the kids became older, the arguments stopped being limited to adults. The children themselves started to internalize the differences in their father's treatment, processing, and positioning of them. The dynamic didn't improve when Mendeecees started dating Yandy Smith. It became stiff. Yandy was more than a companion. She had a strong sense of management and a distinct branding strategy, making her a growing figure in the entertainment sector. The focus of Mendeecees' life completely switched to the home he was creating with her as their relationship grew. For a youthful Lil Mendeecees Jr., this change was obvious and dramatic. Children have an unfailing sense of emotional distance, even though they may not always comprehend the legal complexities or adult politics involved in custody disputes. A loving extended family navigating contemporary challenges was the story being told to the general public. The older biological children of Mendeecees encountered a growing sense of loneliness on the ground. They weren't only residing in a new home. Their father's priorities were quite different from theirs. Lack of money or material possessions wasn't the issue. It was the sharp contrast between everyday interaction, easily accessible love, and basic security. A psychological divide occurs when a father is physically present in one home every day, mentoring his younger children, celebrating small victories each day, and creating an unbreakable link, while the older children receive planned visits and. Growing up, Lil witnessed his father act as an active, loving, and very involved father to one Yandy's kids, while he was left to struggle for scant attention and affirmation. This discrepancy created the basis for long-standing animosity. The adult rivalry between Yandy and the mothers of the older children exacerbated the structural shortcomings of the multi-household arrangement. The system in place exposed the kids to these areas of friction rather than protecting them from them. Lil Mendeecees Jr. was trapped in the crossfire of adult power struggles, where access to his own father appeared to depend on negotiating a maze of stepmother politics and family gatekeeping, and visits frequently felt transactional. These structural fissures were already deeply ingrained by the time Mendeecees faced severe legal issues and a federal jail sentence. These unresolved difficulties were only frozen in place during the time abroad, ensuring that the emotional barrier between him and his elder biological children would not remain an unspoken tension when he returned to the free world. It would blow up into an unavoidable conflict. The already precarious dynamic within the family drastically changed when Mendeecees Harris started his federal prison sentence. Prison terms have the power to either make a family mend its rifts or reveal them until everything falls apart. Control, access, and representation became important sources of dispute in the Harris family as a result of the separation, which hastened the division. Yandy Smith emerged as the family brand's main public face and operational leader throughout those years of incarceration. She oversaw the household narrative, media appearances, and public image while Mendeecees was away. While the public perceived Mendeecees as a devoted wife, the situation behind the scenes with regard to his older biological children was becoming more and more tense. For Lil Mendeecees Jr. during this time, getting in touch with his father wasn't as easy as making a phone call or going to a childhood home. It required negotiating a complicated system in which people who were already at odds with one another frequently held logistical authority, visitation schedules were strict, and communication was monitored. The emotional toll is high when a child's access to their imprisoned father depends on stepmother politics and broken co-parenting arrangements. Lil Mendeecees Jr. was left with the impression of being a guest in his own father's life. The kids under Yandy's care continued to have stability, support, and close ties to the core family. A lavish family reunion was anticipated when Mendeecees eventually finished his sentence and came home. A chance to make up lost time and heal past hurts. Rather, the fact that he was returning merely made the institutional indifference and partiality that already existed worse. Mendeecees immediately returned to a well-established, well-known family after his release. But instead of utilizing his independence to re-establish a harmonious foundation with all of his children, the treatment and divide grew even more noticeable. He and Yandy proceeded to provide their kids with unwavering daily care, direct mentoring, and complete integration into all significant opportunities, brand deals, and lifestyle upgrades that came with the family's platform. The elder biological children of Mendeecees, meantime, were forced to face the harsh truth of emotional detachment. Who resided in which house was no longer the only difference. It has to do with who was actually given precedence. Lil Mendeecees Jr. had unwavering financial and emotional support, daily affirmation, and constant paternal direction, whereas Yandy's children received all of these things. Felt compelled to watch his father's active parenting from a distance. It felt as though he had to work for or beg for the fatherly presence that ought to have come naturally to him. This obvious favoritism has a profound psychological effect. An intense, well-founded animosity results when a parent devotes most of his time, effort, and care to one branch of his family while treating his other biological children as secondary responsibilities. Financial handouts and material goods were never the only issues. It was about the glaring disparity in friendliness, approachability, and sincere care. Lil Mendeecees Jr. was more than just watching a busy dad. He was dealing with a father who could have been present, loving, and encouraging, but he decided to focus his energy almost entirely on one side of his family. There was no denying Yandy's impact on this structure. Her objectives naturally matched those of her own biological children as the matriarch of the primary household, but Mendeecees was responsible for the structural breakdown. He reinforced the division between the main family and the children who were left on the outside looking in by dividing his time and resources so unevenly. The conditions for complete structural collapse were created too throughout this time. Produced an explosive environment because of the underlying hurt, years of feeling inferior, and the frustration of witnessing a father act like the perfect family man on camera while neglecting the emotional needs of his oldest son. It was just a matter of time until the reality of this emotional abandonment emerged, as the calm tolerance was about to expire. Any long-standing family dispute reaches its boiling point when remaining silent is no longer an option. For many years, the official narrative portrayed the Harris dynamic as a complicated yet cohesive blended family going through typical developmental stages. However, the raw, unedited account brought up by Lil Mendeecees Jr. methodically destroyed that public image, revealing the long-standing complaints that had been simmering in the background for more than 10 years. Lil Mendeecees Jr.'s accusations go well beyond simple teenage rebellion or family strife. They indicate a systematic strategy of intentional exclusion, systemic isolation, and emotional manipulation. The claim that Yandy Smith purposefully placed her own home and her own biological children as the "We now want to hear from you, the viewers." What are your thoughts on this situation? Do you believe that the difficulties faced by blended families are only made worse by public attention and celebrity? Or do you think that regardless of the situation, a parent has an unwavering obligation to maintain the same emotional distance and effort? How do you think public narratives affect family ties in the actual world? Please share your ideas, viewpoints, and opinions in the space provided for comments below. Let's keep the conversation civil and productive. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and enable the notification bell so you never miss an upload if you enjoyed this in-depth look and would like to see more content analyzing media stories, public discourse, and contemporary society. We appreciate your viewing and hope to see you in the upcoming breakdown.